Hey everyone, I'm sitting here with my boss and the CEO of Flic Film, and we're just going to have a little conversation about what we've sort of been seeing in a few of our comments and questions that have sort of popped up quite a lot as we've been working, doing the videos, releasing new products. We're seeing a bunch of people comment a few similar things, and we love when you guys comment, and we love answering them, so never be afraid to ask us any questions or anything like that. And yeah, let's just talk about a few things we've been seeing, Dave.
Well, one thing we see all the time, and I get this emails, and of course we see it in comments, is what is the Aurora film stock? And our simple answer to that is we can't tell you. We're pretty forthcoming about all of our film stocks as to what they are. We're not hiding behind something. There's no mystery. There's only 3 manufacturers, major manufacturers in the world. Maybe one more, maybe one coming, but realistically there's 3. And so everybody can guess pretty much, but we have agreements as to when we can disclose and when we can't. In this case, we can't disclose. So, rest assured, it is a C41 native 800 stock and not a cinema film with the remjet removed.
Yes, and if you're so curious yourself, go and shoot it. I shot a few rolls. I really like it. It's just nice having a reasonably priced 800 ISO film because, yeah, when I wanted to shoot 800 ISO film, I go in the camera store, or my local camera store, and I just saw the prices, and it just sort of turned me away immediately from shooting that ISO in particular.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough if you have any kind of limited budget whatsoever. You got to trade off one against the other and say, okay, I'll shoot 400 or I'll shoot 200 speed film that's affordable. We're giving that opportunity, and that's great. So, well, we still can't say what it is.
No, can't say what it is. Under oath. Next question you've seen is talking about the C41 developing kits and extending them. So extending them in the way of using them past what we sort of recommend.
That, and people ask me if we have to extend time with each roll. So, our kits have separated bleach and fix, which is more of a lab style than Blix. Blix is not you would never see a lab running Blix. It's not consistent enough, and the chemicals will deplete very, very quickly. They don't have much shelf life in the lab, which is, of course, disastrous. You need the lab has to be able to replenish and keep on using their chemicals. So our separated bleach and fix is very constant, and no, you do not need to extend per roll as you would in a kit with a Blix formula. So you can go use exactly the same times from your first roll to your 8th roll on an 8 kit. And the other part of it is people ask, I get this email often, is how can I get more use out of my kits by extending time? How much time do I have to extend to get more use out of the kits? And there's a couple of issues with that. First, fixer is an absolute, and I know there are kits out there that say if you do this, this, and this, you can extend out to 24 rolls for a for a kit that is actually rated for 8 rolls, and I have a real problem with that. In that fixer itself, it will hit its maximum, hit a saturation of silver, and if it stops absorbing any more silver, and I don't care how much time you extend it, it's not going to absorb any more silver. That's it, And so what'll happen is if you do your film now, you'll get an image, but as soon as that gets out into light, that image starts
that'll be gone.
Yeah, it just really blacks out on it. So, and the other thing we've certainly talked about this is, we can take our 8-roll kits to 10 rolls, we can take our 16-roll kits to 20 if your habits are good. Keep things clean, don't and take time into account and how many pushed rolls you've done. Things like that are taken into account. But on a general basis, you can push them a little beyond our rating, which is, it's intentional on our part. But to go beyond that, I think is kind of a false economy.
Do you think it's it's quite a big risk with the point of being to save money? I imagine people want to extend these kits to the maximum potential, but what you're risking are your photos, and
Right.
you're risking an expensive roll of film that you're developing, and if they just sort of vanish or they become faded, that's not worth it for what is essentially, what do we have these listed at, $2 per roll?
Yeah, it costs us about $2.50.
$2.50 per roll.
$2 US, whatever.
But that's just, in my opinion, that's just not worth the risk of sort of stretching that to see like, hey, maybe I can get just a little bit more. I think of it as like, you know, when you're winding and you hear that tension, you're like, maybe I can just sort of do it a little bit more, and then you hear the film snap, or you like something feels wrong. You're like, well, no, I just did this to myself.
Yeah, it's a bit of a false economy.
Yeah.
To stretch out. Canada, a roll of Portrait can run, Portrait 400 can run, what, 24 bucks?
I think 24, 25 last time I checked.
Yeah. We never buy that because we only use Flic Film.
Yes.
Because we get it for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll spend $24 and then try to save, you know, by extending, you're saving like $1.50, $2. It's with pretty high risk. So don't recommend it. I know people do experiment and good on them, you know, that's great. But there is a certain point where the fixer will not absorb any more silver and you will have disastrous results.
Yeah, that's not exactly what you want when developing your own film.
Much money.
Not worth saving that money. Another question I see quite a lot when, especially I did a video on affordability film, plastic cassettes and why we use them versus metal.
Number one is availability. There was a real stretch there, as everybody undoubtedly remembers, where...
This is when Kodak had those little silver tops
Yeah.
for their 35 millimeter.
The steel that they were originally using became unavailable. It's called tin-free steel, which is also used for tin cans in the industry, which has no tin in them. I guess old tin cans must have had tin in them.
I think so, and they just kept the name.
It's a big competition for that steel. The price is quite volatile. Availability can be volatile. There was a worldwide shortage a couple of years ago that, of course, you know, film takes second place
To food? To canned food? Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So Kodak tried using a different kind of steel, a little bit harder, had problems with their machinery, ended up in a disaster that everybody felt. There was no film available for a chunk. We were able to keep rolling through there, so, we were buying Aerocolor 4 off Kodak. We were literally getting a shipment every 2 weeks out of them. So it's a pallet of film. It's a lot of film. Every 2 weeks we rolled furiously. We didn't slow down at all. So plastic was good for that in that it's readily available. It is much cheaper than the steel cassette, so that helps us with our affordability issues. And, on an environmental basis.
Because when in my mind, when I hear plastic versus metal, your mind sort of goes like, it's plastic. Plastic sounds bad, doesn't it? And a few people have sort of gotten that with just like the word, just like plastic equals bad.
Yeah, it takes much less energy to create a plastic cassette than it does to make a steel cassette. Steel's a highly energy intensive business. Certainly plastic is energy intensive as well, but nowhere near what it is in steel, which is why the price is so different. A lot of the cost of the products, iron ore is not expensive. You already out of the ground. Great
But you need to
quantities.
get it out of the ground.
Get it out of the ground, but once you turn it into a piece of usable steel and you roll it and you form it and yada yada yada, there's a lot goes into that, a lot of energy. So plastic is actually, environmentally a little friendlier than steel. They're both recyclable. We use ABS plastic that can, just recycled into your plumbing pipes, plastic plumbing pipes in your house. So, that's why we use plastic. In the future we may take a look if steel became more accessible and affordable in a manner that would fit our machines, because our machines are designed for plastic cassettes. So, we could change.
Okay, well, that's good. And another question I've been seeing a lot, and I've asked you when I first started working here, is like, hey, when are we going to get 120 film? Not knowing anything about, how it works or anything. I now know more now, but let's say you're talking to me in the past again, like why aren't you going to make, let's say, Electra or Aurora in 120? Why don't you do that?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. First off, you need to. The film is made in big master rolls. They're I think 54 inches wide. Depends on the manufacturer, but 54 inches thereabouts is the width of a roll of film. Before you can turn it into anything, you have to slit it. So it requires the use of a slitter. That's probably $400,000 or $500,000 machine, and then you got to buy a master roll. You need a machine to move the master roll around because it's in the dark. People can't pick them up; they're heavy. And
so you need to have a space that's like big enough and dark enough to move this. What is it like this? Big a master roll?
A master roll is about like that.
Okay.
And it's heavy, and it, of course,
Dark.
Got to be in the dark. So then you got to slit that thing, and then you got to put it into a machine that we don't have, a very complex machine. You've got to make that to a paper that we can't get. And then you produce a product that it's the one film product, other than 4x5 or 8x10, one film product that everybody has tons of capacity for. And so we have to fit a niche where we can make a difference. We can't produce 120 film for twice the price of our suppliers of film and have make that successful. So yeah, it's just really out of the picture. Talking millions of dollars to put a facility together to create 120 film, and there are lots of facilities existing now that do just that. That we can't possibly compete with.
And then 120 film, I love shooting it. I shoot it with my Pentax 6.7. But is it as popular as 35 millimeter film?
Yeah, about a tenth as popular.
1/10.
Yeah, maybe a tenth.
Maybe a tenth. And they didn't really make, they certainly made way more 35 millimeter cameras than 120 cameras. So it's also a fact of like, hey, most cameras that exist and most people that are shooting film, odds are they're going to be shooting 35 over 120. They might move over to 120, but as a sort of a starting ground, I imagine they would start with 35 and maybe continue with that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and even right now, actually, the move is back. The used market for 120 cameras is greatly diminished. According to people we talk to, the demand for 120 film has gone down. We see all the big manufacturers putting it on sale, dropping their prices.
Or they don't sell them and then they're expired and then they need to put them on sale. So it's an interesting one, and I really wonder why people would be moving back. Maybe it's for that authentic look with film. Like, do you think the more frames, or what do you think it is?
I think it was straight cost.
Straight cost.
Yeah, as interest rates went up, people got more of a squeeze on their mortgages, whatever. It slows a little bit, rents go up, on and on. You've got less money kicking around, so you're thinking, okay,
I still want to shoot film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but 120 is tough. There's lots of capacity in the world. We really can't add to that capacity. We can add to the 35 millimeter capacity because there is not enough capacity in the world. And we do have the largest independent conversion facility in the world, as far as I know. I don't know of anybody that can produce. We can do 6,000 rolls a day. Don't think anybody else can do that.
And that's me rolling it. That's me using the machine. I'm the attendant that loads the film canisters and load it. Like, yeah. That's me working that 6,000 per day with some other people, of course. Yeah, that'd be crazy if it was just me, one 8-hour day of just sitting there rolling 8,000 or 6,000 rolls. Yeah, no, it's not just me. There's other people that help as well. But yeah, so
it takes about 16 cups of coffee.
Yes. Another question we see is why we do not have a retail store. A lot of people click on our stuff or they go to our website and wonder why we just can't buy the film directly from us.
We're wholesalers. Plain and simple. We supply retail stores. We have 150 some retail stores we supply. Those stores have a relationship with their customers. We strongly support them, and I hope everybody goes to a retail store. Or uses a retail store or online independent store rather than kind of just just sort of buying blindly from whoever's got the
Yeah, just
product on the market or whatever.
and I think it's important to like go to your local camera store, your place that's shooting film, and support them, because if you're supporting them directly, like they'll stick around.
They'll be around, and they're also
They're knowledgeable people.
Yeah, they're knowledgeable people there. So you know, you can ask them advice. You can gain knowledge from them. You can see new products by going there. So,
And like, yeah, I think that's an important thing in the film community and in the industry, is just to talk to people that have done this for a while, and you can get insight from them. And if you're just buying something online, you don't really get that interaction or
Yeah. Well, you do. I mean, some online stores that are specialized. They get to know their customers. And that's great too. Support them as well. But we certainly couldn't begin to pay
No.
attention to our total customer base. We can't just be a giant online store. We would, 'cause
we have 150 stores worldwide.
worldwide, yeah, not
That we
just,
supply.
Not just in Canada,
Yeah.
not just in Canada and America, or into South America, Central America, Europe, Asia. We don't speak the languages of
The language is film.
yeah. I mean, even in Canada, we don't have any French speakers.
Nope.
Our retailers are that buffer between us and those customers. And, although Google Translate gets rid of some of it, that's a little flawed at times as well. So yeah, we just can't. We are a wholesale and manufacturer, so cannot do everything.
And I feel like we can cover more ground with being a distributor.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than just a wholesale store, and we can spread Flic Film as far across the globe as we can. Well, that's the questions that we've been seeing around here that's sort of been popping up from time to time. And of course, don't be afraid, ask questions away. We would love to answer any of your questions. And if you have any ideas for even products like relating to film or film adjacent, we would love to hear that as well, because a lot of our products have come from your customers, sort of just a simple question or a conversation, correct?
Yeah, our retail stores have responded to, or have given us requests because of supply chain issues. We stock everything all the time. And, we add products, but a lot of what we've added is by request. So
So request away.
Film.
Yeah, instant, unless it's 120 film, but request away, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for coming.